If you love Arizona real estate or the opportunity to move within beautiful Arizona, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Iconic Estates, a podcast presented by Russ, Lyon, Sotheby's International Realty, for people who love Arizona and the opportunity to live in the pristine desert. I'm your host, Renee D., publisher of Iconic Life magazine, and I will be with you for each show. On the pod today, I've got Russ Lyon President Tom Licati, who will share with us why his company leads with outstanding customer service. Mike Belzotti, Director of Education for Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty, explains the growing price per square foot in Arizona real estate. And then we talk with global real estate advisor Oriana Lehman Wood, who loves the art of a good negotiation. So let's get started. Well, I'm super excited to have Tom Licati with me here today on the podcast for Russ Lyon. It's amazing. You're one of the three owners.
Yep.
And I'm excited to have a chance to get to know you a little bit better today on the podcast.
Well, thanks, Renee. It's glad to be here. I know Jim and Todd went before me, so it shouldn't be too bad. You'll take it easy on me.
It won't be bad. You know what? This is a conversation between friends. That's really what it
sure is.
And we're talking about your favorite topic today, which is real estate.
Yep.
And so I've got to ask, I know that you've been a big sales guy throughout your whole life, but how did you get into real estate?
Man, that's a long. I'm going to give you the short version.
Okay.
I was in the oil business for years, and my dad died. I took the business over, bought it from his estate. Went from 6 employees to 200. I couldn't make 3 cents.
Oh gosh.
So at 40 years old, I said, I'm going to do something different. It was in Montana, and I said, I'm going to go somewhere warm. So I moved here, and I had a job with a guy that had a .com company that made paperweights
Yeah.
and things like that. And I was supposed to run his company. Paid pretty well, but I had to wait 6 months for a guy to retire. So in the meantime, I couldn't figure out real estate. I'd throw the baby in the baby stroller, and I'd go walk around Scottsdale Mountain. And I don't know if this is good to say or not, but I go into these open houses, and I walk out of there shaking my head. I got to be missing something. These are the dumbest people I've ever met in my life.
No.
So on a whim, I went to real estate school, and I did the 9-day crash course. You went all day and half the night. And by the time my 6 months was up, I already sold 3 or 4 houses. And I thought, you know what, I kind of like this. So that's how I got into it.
Wow.
And that was 25 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so what company were you with at that time, and how did it all sort of progress over the years?
Okay, so my in-laws at the time were in real estate. And they said if you were going to go anywhere because you don't know anything about real estate, the best place to go is Russ Lyon, because they have a wonderful support group and wonderful classes, which they're even better today. But so that's where I went, and I never went anywhere else. Been there, long career. I sold for, I think I haven't sold now in about 12, 13 years. I was at the top of the heap for them for a long time. I retired, and one day Jim called me and said, "Hey, I got a deal for you." So that's
and
how
now you're one of the three
we're
owners.
one of the three. They wanted me to buy half of it, and I said, "Hey, the only way I'm doing this, and the only way it's going to work, because we were very good friends. We've done all sorts of stuff." I says, "We got to be a third, and a third. There is no way you're going to be 25, and me 50. That will never work." Best decision I ever made. So we're best of friends. We run a great company. I love real estate. I love changing people's lives, and that's what we do. So it's awesome.
So for people who are buying real estate from Russ Lyon, what do you think is the difference? What is the experience you feel like they're getting?
This might get a little philosophical, but, real estate people, agents to be specific, rank just below attorneys and just above used car salesmen.
Oh, boy.
And I will tell you the reason for that, and anybody watching this is going to agree with it. I mean, the reason for that, it's not hard to get into this industry. And, it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of the people do 80% of the business. Those that are good are usually really good, and there's just a ton of people, right? And then, Arizona's the home of the 100% house, right?
Right.
You can go someplace where you pay them. I mean, it's crazy what's out here. So we are not the cheapest. Matter of fact, we're probably the most expensive. However, our agents make 3 times the money than anybody else does, because we're good at what we do. Mm-hmm. And we take really good care of our clients. And I'll bring it back to the client end of it. It's not about, hey, don't you think this is a beautiful living room, and how nice is this kitchen? That's not it. People don't need you to tell them what they like.
Right.
They need you to really know what you do, understand money, understand how it works, understand where the market is. And, our company proves it. We're not the biggest. I think we have 1,000 agents throughout the state. But yeah, we do a great job. It's like a family. Mm-hmm. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, the thing I like about it the most, the thing I enjoy about it the most, and I hope I never have to quit, is changing people's lives. I can bring someone in that, that has 3 kids. And generally people that get into real estate are getting into it because they've lost at something else. And I was not any different. So, and it's fun to watch people have a life and make money more than they can make anywhere else. And again, try and get them into the 20%.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and Russ Lyon has got such a great reputation from even before the Sotheby's combination as well. But so people know that there's going to be great service there. So as an early salesperson, I'm kind of curious, what were some of the Tom Licati-isms that you had for your business? Because you hit great success early on. So you must have been taking care of your clients, because you don't get successful in real estate because you are good at real estate. It's because you are good at taking care of your clients.
Yeah, this is kind of a fun one to answer, and the people that can grasp this do very well. I think I did it out of necessity. I learned out of necessity. Again, it's not about selling a house, right? This is about psychology and learning the psychology of the sale. And I'll give you a really good example. Everybody can relate to this. Let's say you're sitting in an open house, and you come in as the buyer, and what's the first thing you feel when they get up and come to talk to you?
Nervous?
Nervous.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God, right? Oh God. And they want, can I get your card? Can I get your phone number? Can I get,
Yeah.
That's not it. The example is when somebody comes in, what I used to do is I say, hey, nice to meet you guys. I said, but this is your lucky day. And they said, well, what do you mean it's our lucky day? I said, I'm not like every other person you saw today in an open house. I said, this is a great house. I respect your time. Go through. If you need me, I'm right here. I'd be glad to go through with you, but I think you'd like to see it. If you have any questions, let me know. And that on its own just lowers, and you can watch people, their shoulders drop, they get a smile on their face.
Yeah.
I just go sit down, and they walk through, and inevitably they have a question. And what's that's done is you've invited them, one way or the other, into your life instead of the other way around, where I'm forcing them to do something.
Right.
I never asked for a phone number, I never did anything. And that's probably the best part. And there's so many things about it, commission wise and everything else. I mean, there's a lot to it, but it's psychology and learning what people feel, and all this. Because again, real estate agents don't have a great reputation, and there's a good reason for it.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, it's easy to get in, and there's a ton of people that really don't do much with it. But I have enormous respect for those real estate advisors who are full-timers, who are 6-7 days a week. This is what I do, as opposed to once a month, this is what I do, or once every 2 years when my brother needs help, this is what I do. I love people who have made it their career.
Yep.
So for you hit some success, and then you made this into your career. How did you grow your business from there? What were some of the things that were important to you in growing your business?
It's kind of funny. It became like and real estate kind of is like insurance in a way. After you get kind of master your craft a little bit, it becomes reoccurring. I think the average time for a person in Arizona in a house over $1 million is 3.5 years. So after a while, it becomes an annuity, right? If you do a good job for them, and there's lots of things I would always remember, birthdays, things like that, and so once it starts doing that, it just kind of grows. It just grows from there. It's like probably a bad word, but it kind of grows like cancer. I mean, it really does. It goes like that. And I got so big that I finally had to start hiring people. I carried it. I mean, this is 15 years ago. I carried 500 million listings at all times. I was doing 150 million a year in sales by myself. I mean, I was busy.
Wow.
So I know that kind of my approach works, and again, it's fun because I have some people. Just this week, I had a guy, and we sat down and talked about it, and he goes, "God, you're crazy." He went and did it. And he sent me a text. He goes, "Oh my God, this worked! I got a listing out of it. This guy gave me all his number." And I says, "It works. It's about respect. It's respect. It's not forcing yourself on people.
Yeah.
You've got to invite them to come into your life, and whether they do or not, that's not your job. And once they bite, you're good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we're in such an interesting market here. So you were just talking about, the average life cycle that people are moving every like 3.5 years, which, in the Midwest, you think about that people get in a house and they sit there for 30 or 40, 50 years,
Yes.
For a long time.
Yep.
So if people are changing houses often, it makes Arizona this very dynamic market anyhow. And it's such an interesting place. How do you feel about the market today?
Well, just based on our sales, I mean,
Yeah.
this year over last year, and last year was a good year, we're up 40% so far this year. And we're killing it. And there's a lot of people moving around. The upper end's very healthy. Surprisingly, I would think the interest rate issue that we had for a while there is still a little high. would have done a little more damage than it did, but it didn't. I mean, maybe that 500,000 and below, maybe, but not as bad as you would think.
Right.
There's just a lot of people coming here for all sorts of reasons, political, weather-wise, stuff that's going on in California, New York. We get a lot of that, and just people saying, "I'm tired of it." Oregon, Washington. I won't get into which side of the but that's why they're leaving.
Yep.
And they say, we're just tired of it. We're not. It's just crazy. So we get a lot of that, and then we've got our weather, and then the stuff that's coming here. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The new chip factory. We're considered the electric car battery of capital of the world. Same with the chip or the chip factory of the world. All this stuff is coming here. This is not slowing down.
Yeah.
Especially Scottsdale, Paradise Valley. They consider the new billionaire club. Is what they call it. And it's not going anywhere. It's going to do nothing but grow. The only thing that would stop it would be, barring something crazy.
Right.
Like another 9/11 or something like that, where it got everybody.
Right.
But other than that, this is not slowing down.
Right.
And prices aren't backing up. I'll tell you that.
No, I know. I watch so closely all the time, and it's fascinating how there was a time period where if you waited long enough, you could kind of see a little correction, but it seems just so strong and steady now that you just got to dive in. Like, just dive in wherever you are, because it's not going to, don't wait.
Exactly. Don't wait. You're going to pay more money. And
yeah.
I finally learned that. When I first came, the first 10 or 12 years when I came here, this place was a cycle. It was boom and bust, boom and bust. People be paying way up here. Next thing you know, the market went crappy and it was way down here. And the next thing it was up. People in and out, in and out. It's just been nothing but straight up. For the last 15 years or so.
And it's still interesting the why. I mean, I know it's because I feel like it's because there's a lot of people coming in from other places that maybe were typically more expensive than us. When people come from California here, the prices seem softer here. We're seeing these huge houses that we've not seen before. What's your perspective on that? About 5 years ago, I remember, maybe it was even 4 years ago, Business Journal has a story about this record-breaking sale, this $18 million house.
Right.
And that was a really big deal.
That's run of the mill anymore.
It's still
in a weird way. It's a lot of money, but there's a lot more expensive stuff out there. But you got a lot of people.
And there's a lot of it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people out there that, I won't use names, but there's builders out there that are, scraping stuff in PV and throwing a house on it and say, okay, I want $35 million, right? They're never going to get it. And it sits there and it comes down, it sells for 15, 12 or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on. And then again, you do have a lot of wealthy people coming here. Our weather's fantastic. Politics, I think, are more conducive to people with money. Not to say that either side of the fence doesn't make any difference. Just a little calmer, right? It is a little cheaper here, not like it was a few years ago.
Right.
We're kind of reaching parity with some of these other popular places, but it's surprising to watch what's happening. I mean, it's amazing.
It's impressive.
Yes. Oh, I mean, we just passed, St. Louis? We're the 5th largest city in the country. Who knows that?
Yep.
Driving around here, you wouldn't know it, right?
I know.
It's so spread out.
Yeah.
You better pack a lunch if you're going to go from one side of town to the other.
Yeah.
But,
well, now some of that's out of town.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, to answer your question, it's a little bit of everything. It's a very desirable place to live. I'm from Montana. I love Montana, don't get me wrong, but I've been here for 25 years and I absolutely love it and I consider it home. So,
Yeah.
And I've been here long enough, actually a native, I guess, compared to most people in Arizona.
Yeah,
But,
I feel the same way. When I moved here, it was on a total whim. I didn't know what I was doing, and I had no idea that I would stay. Same thing for another 25 years.
Yeah.
And it's great. This feels like home to me. This is where my family
Yeah.
is. And it's I always say Arizona living is easy. It's easy. I mean, there's a lot of places that you can go where you can park. The traffic is really not that terrible. The weather's so easy. Like, I don't know. It feels like a very easy place to live. So
I
it's
can
super
live
desirable.
anywhere in this town, and I choose McCormick Ranch. I live in a tiny little house. I have no traffic. There's enough green belts to walk for miles. I can walk from McCormick Ranch all the way to the McDowell Mountains on green belts.
Yeah.
Where do you get that in any other town? You don't. And I mean, our neighborhood is like Andy and Mayberry. It's like living in a bubble. There's no traffic ever. It's fantastic. We just it's really cool. It's really cool. I love it here. And I think that's what a lot of people see.
Yeah, I think so too. So a lot of people, their house is the biggest investment of their life. So what's your perspective as it relates to real estate and investment? And what is an advisor's role in helping people evaluate that investment?
Well, I think there's two aspects to that. There's people that, and I'll just, without getting into a lot of detail, people with money and people that are more average, right? And the average people, I think it is their largest investment. And if they can afford it, they should buy a house. They should be in a house again because it's not gonna back up. And once you get in, you're in, and you're kind of in the cycle. And but there's a lot of people here that with the money, it doesn't make any difference. They're in and out. They're in and out, and that's mostly what we deal with in Scottsdale. Some of our stuff up north, Flagstaff and Prescott and Tucson, where we are, we've got a lot of offices. It's different. It's a different ball game. But for the most part, this is kind of it's almost like pretend world. There's so much money here, and it's getting more and more all the time. But people in the the lower end are just getting started. I mean, if they can do it, it's a great way to get in and start. I mean, it's not backing up. It's just not going to do it. I mean, look at what they're building. I mean, you can't even afford what they're building. The stuff that's new, it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
You look at the quality today in a $10 million house compared to a quality in a $10 million house 10 years ago. It's crazy. It's cheap.
Incredible.
Oh, to get the stuff they use for building and construction today. I mean, and as luck would have it, I have two brothers that are some of the best architects in the country. I mean, they've done stuff for Oprah Winfrey and Tom Brady, and they fly all over the world in their jet designing houses. That's what they do.
Wow.
So I know what quality is and what's not. And the stuff I see here, 1-inch baseboard up this high in a $10 million house, an insert fireplace in a 10. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, it's laughable.
Well, I would like you to call some of these builders and say that because
it is absolutely insane. And you're going, oh, that's the new trend. You got a marble top. It's this thick. I said, yeah, that's the new trend. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just it's.
Well, and people are paying the price for that. So one of the things I'm seeing with this is smarter buyers are coming in, and because there's kind of a scarcity of houses, they'll buy some of these houses, and then this is the thing that then breaks my heart is to see unused kitchens, unused countertops, and everything get ripped out because somebody says this quality is not where it should be.
Right.
So I will say, and I will say it on this podcast, shame on the builders who are doing that. I mean, it drives me crazy. And as a magazine publisher, that is a message I think needs to be out there.
I could get myself in so much trouble here, but I'm going to say it. Even your big builders, the stuff that they build now, I refer to them as throwaway houses. They're good for about 14 years. The stuff I grew up in as a kid, that's still there, and it was 20 years old when I was a kid. Just built different. If you look at some of the designs from 20 years ago here in the Valley, really nice homes, nice finishes, really good floor plans. Now they're boxes, they're cheap, and they fall apart. I mean, it's crazy what they get money for. It's absolutely crazy. The lots have gone from this to this because the land's so expensive. So the land's expensive, so they put a cheaper quality house on it, and they build 50 of them or whatever, 150 of them, whatever they're going to do. It's just kind of interesting, and you see that a lot.
Well, I feel like we're entering into the age of renovation too. So in Paradise Valley, some of those older houses have been around for a long time now. And so they need to be updated or whatever. And so this is why we're seeing some of these things either scraped or renovated or whatever. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen there. What do you think is going to happen in our market over the next decade?
The next decade, it's up. The stuff that they're bringing here is over the next decade, and that doesn't include anything else that comes, the stuff that follows these things. You don't do $500 billion investments around here and not have a ton of stuff come with it. We haven't even seen it yet. Even the chip factory out on 17, we haven't seen it yet, and they're building communities out there. So yeah, it looks really good. Again, barring something crazy, like the big blow up we had in 07, 08, something like that. Where it gets everybody, that'll get us. But other than that, I really don't see any roadblocks ahead at all.
It's very exciting. Very exciting for the people. So obviously the people who watch this podcast are people that are thinking about moving here or people who already own real estate here thinking about, looking for another house. What do you think that process should be? Like when people start thinking about another house, like what should the process be to get yourself into a new place?
And again, such a wide variety of buyers out there. So I'll speak very generally. Generally, I think you need to find an agent that is really familiar with where you're looking. They can save you so much time and keep you from making big mistakes. And I see it all the time. People are so afraid to spend, let's say in a $3 million house, they're afraid to spend $90,000 on an agent. I'm telling you, it's the cheapest money they'll ever spend if you get a good agent. And a reputable company. You go down, you'll go to Zip Realty or ABC Realty. I hope that's not somebody's company. I'm not trying to name anybody, but you know what I'm talking about, right? That is not going to, because you save a percentage. Are you kidding me? I'll tell you a quick story on that. I'll tell you a really quick story, and this will drive it home for everybody, buying or selling. And and this happens all the time, and the reason why we're parked between attorneys and used car salesmen. Let's say you're going for a listing. Guy says, "Oh man, I got a $5 million house, and I got to pay you $150,000." And the guy down the street, he's going to do it for, $100. And I said, "Let me tell you why you want to use me, and how your $50,000 savings is going to cost you $300,000." Mm-hmm. I said, "There's only two reasons in this industry today. There's only two reasons why there's a deal, and then the two are they're either not good enough to get the business, mm-hmm. or they're broke." They got a house payment, they got kids to feed, they got hospital bills, they got car payments, they got insurance. I see it all the time. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these people have gotten, this is a big one in real estate, so far behind on their taxes. Those are the only two reasons. They're either not smart enough or they need money.
Right.
So what happens is, okay, let's say, Mr. Seller, let's say you and your wife are out with me, and we come this house right here that you're living in, you've been here for 10 years, and you absolutely love it. It's priced at $3 million, and you'd go damn near $3 million. In this market, some of it goes for more. But you go to the discount guy who needs the money or is not really smart. I promise you, 10 seconds with that guy, I will know within $50,000 where the bottom line is on this house. And let's say the bottom line is $2,650. It's gone up, but they think they can get $3 for it. Where do you think you're going to start negotiations?
Right.
It ain't $2,650.
Right.
Maybe $2,550 becomes a big contentious deal, right?
Yep.
They end up getting it done because they're done at $2,700. So your $50,000 just cost you $250,000.
Yep.
It happens every day.
Yep.
It happens all day, and it's sad, but it's nature. And the people that are good, that doesn't happen.
Right.
Ever. And
Yeah.
I used to use that story with all of my listings. I never lost a listing ever, and I've sold billions of dollars of homes. It's the truth.
It's very credible.
That's
very,
the
very
truth.
credible.
It's the truth.
Well, you've got a couple of major agents, several that I'm very good friends with and have a ton of respect for, and they are great at holding the line on that. Just to say that quality is quality, and just like you said, that little discount that you think you're going to get is going to potentially cost you. The other thing is, I feel like every once in a while you'll see these trends where people want to work with somebody who's going to discount their rate or whatever, and then all of a sudden your house sits on the market for 9 months, 10 months, 11 months. Everybody's wondering what's wrong with your house.
Right.
Now, how well did that go for you?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. Happens to be my wife. My wife got a listing last week for $9.9 million, been on the market for a year. She picks it up. In 2 days, they have 3 offers. They sold it for $11 million.
Oh, wow. Congratulations to her.
What do you think the difference is there, right? It's, there you go. We have a very wide net. We got a very large, buying pool, if you will. And, we are a nation. We're the only one that's really literally international.
Right.
Everybody else says they are, but they're not. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Matter of fact, we're getting ready to do a auction through Sotheby's on 200 acres up by the Grand Canyon, right by the, what is it? What do you call it? The Sky Bridge?
Oh yeah, by the
going
Sky
in
Bridge.
there. 3 million people go by there a year. And
wow.
I think they're going to do great with that. And that's, again, international. They're very confident they're going to have somebody from either Japan or China or Bulgaria, wherever from, that want to just park some money in the U.S. And yeah, so that's the type of stuff that nobody else has access to or can point to and say, yeah, it's successful. This is how it works. This is how you protect your money. Blah 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 blah. So.
I mean, again, it goes back to what we were saying at the beginning. If you're going to deal with either the largest investment of your life or one of the most, or still a very important investment
Always
in
important.
your life, you
Absolutely.
want to work with a professional who's at this all the time and who's got global reach. I mean, the global reach, you never know, because Arizona's become such a worldwide economy, people could be buying houses from anywhere. And so being able to reach those people, there's a huge advantage to that.
It really is.
So, Tom, I want to ask you about the NAR settlement. And a lot of people still have questions about that, how it relates to, when you have an agent who's helping you buy a house. What is the new thing that we need to know?
The new thing you need to know is, in my opinion, it's not good for the consumer at all. Again, they're saving a little bit of money, but it's not to their advantage. I mean, what it's bringing, clear cooperation, all this stuff that's going away due to this is really becoming bad, because now you have people like Compass, and it's going to be people like us, and they're pulling their listings off the MLS. They're listing them strictly with their company. How is that good for the seller? Where you're taking it from 100% view down to whatever their market share might be, which is, I think, 7%. Mm-hmm. How is that good for the seller? And it's all because somebody got their panties in a wad over real estate agents make too much money. No, they don't. they work very hard, and I'm
Yes.
going to tell you, it damn near killed me when I was in it. It's 24/7. You are never down, and you're not getting paid for the one you're selling. You're getting paid for the 12 that you put a ton of time and money into, and didn't get a penny.
Right.
And it's hours and hours and hours away from your family, away from, it's not an easy business. And so, I look at it as they're meddling in, and that's so funny. The settlement was, I don't know what, $1 billion. The average person got $6.
Oh boy.
I mean, how is that helping anybody?
Right.
Oh, we got you, real estate agent. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I think it all stems again from the 80-20 thing. It's the 80% that are horrible that cause things like this. And I thought a lot about it, like how could you change this so it's not so easy to enter this industry?
Yeah.
But and then I think back, well, I didn't even know what an escrow was when I started real estate. So if it was harder, I probably would have never got in. So, and I happen to think I do it the right way. And so does our company. And that's what we teach. But it's one of those things. It's just government meddling, and that's all it is. And it makes it very tough.
So I've got a question. Does it have an impact? Do you feel like it's somewhat damaged the relationship between somebody who wants to buy a house and the advisor who's representing the buyer?
Yes, because the way they have to write this now, it's not. It doesn't make any sense, because before, when you had you had the list side and the sell side, and you offered, let's say, 5%, listing got 3, the buy side got 2. It was all up there and allowed the buyer to put that on his loan, right, and pay for it over 30 years. So, and then he lived here for 3 years. That's the average, 3.5 years.
Right.
What do you think that cost him? Like zero?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a percentage. It goes away, right? It goes away. Now they have to do it separate. And most sellers go, no, I'm not going to do that. And we tell people is absolutely to your advantage to do it.
Yes.
Because it's much easier for the real estate agent to bring people. You're losing people. But the people that don't do it now, it's just, it's crazy.
What do you think is the impact on the relationship between somebody buying a house and their advisor who's helping them buy that house?
It makes it a lot more difficult, because people, they look at that and say, oh, you mean I have to pay for this? Because if it doesn't get picked up on the from the seller side, they have to come out of pocket with it. It doesn't go into their mortgage. So it's an actual, they got to write a check for it, which is crazy. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all, because the value is there. And I've told you that before. I mean, it's there, but people just, and we're seeing it, and so ultimately what happens is less things get offered, less money comes in, less things get offered. Your agents suffer. They're not as well trained, because certain things have to go away because you're not making as much money. And it's a horrible, horrible decision, in my opinion.
Well, and some of the buyers, obviously, we talked about some of the ultra high net worth people that are doing this. So they're not having as big of an impact. But if you think about people in that $1 million or less, that out-of-pocket expense is going to come at the cost of a new kitchen remodel, or it's going to come at the cost of living room furniture or something like that.
It comes at the cost of not being able to buy as much house either, because what are they going to do? They're not going to borrow. I mean, they already maxed out. They had to save forever to get their 20% down payment, or first-time home buyer 10%, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And now they got to come out of pocket with another 3 or 4%. It makes it very hard for people to enter the market. It's hurting the people that they're trying the most to save. And it doesn't make any sense.
Right. That's what I was wondering. I feel like it's made things more complex, more awkward, and challenging for people.
Yeah. And you really have to be on your game to get paid. I mean, you really do. And what happens is you got people out there that now they have to have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
It's an uncomfortable conversation, because before it was easy, right? This is how it looked. It went directly to your loan, and you were there for 3 years. You left. I mean, you paid maybe actually out of your pocket hardly nothing. Right.
Right.
Now you're paying it all out of your pocket.
And up front.
I mean, it doesn't. So what happens is they use the cheapest purchase they can. How is that going to help somebody that knows nothing about real estate, and they're trying to save money? How's that going to help them? They're going to make bad decisions. They're going to buy bad properties, right? And they're not going to get the appreciation they should have. I just think it's a huge injustice.
Yeah, it does not. It does not make sense. Well, I knew you were going to have an opinion about that, so that's why I wanted to ask.
I have an opinion about everything. That's what my wife says.
Yeah, no, you know what? I think we're all working to, continue to understand the impact of this too.
Yeah.
Like, do you see that this is something that might go back the other way? Do you think that might happen?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. All I know is it is not good for the consumer. It is not good for the consumer, any way you slice it. And, most people, if you're not in real estate, you don't understand how this works. They just look at us, oh, God, they made $150,000 in 3 weeks. Well, yeah, we did that in 3 weeks, but we don't do it every 3 weeks. We don't do it every month. I mean,
Right.
it's a tough business. And then there's the expenses. You got expenses, right?
Yeah, marketing.
So they don't get it all.
Yeah.
Some of it goes to your broker, some of it goes to marketing, some of it goes to, your car, your other insurance. I mean, your E&O insurance. I mean, you don't get it all. So, yeah, it's, people just don't understand it. And the way they had it, I think, was fantastic. And I will never agree with how they have it now because it's not doing justice to the people that need it the most. And that's the ones they're trying to protect and they're not. And
Right.
again, get the government in it. There you go.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
hopefully it's something obviously there's lobbyists who are actively working to get this change to be the other way. But where we are today is this.
Yeah, it's just because it's really confusing. It really is. It's really hard. You got people trying to leave the MLSs. They're trying to break it all up, which is not good for the consumer. I don't care how it ends up. It's not good for the consumer. It's a very strange business. It's very, very different.
At the end of the day, the seller always benefits by having the most eyes on their property. So you always want to have the most eyes you can
Most
possibly
eyes you
have.
can possibly get.
Yep.
And so now you got people holding, properties off the market. How they're telling their clients that's good for them, I have no clue. Because you know what they're trying to do now? They're holding it off, hoping they have an agent so they can double end it. Now, how is that good for the consumer? It's not. So what they're trying to do, because there's a little bit of money going away, now they're trying to hold off from the public. How is that good for the guy selling his house? How do they justify it? Well, we're going to put it in there because we might have our own buyers. Well, yeah, you want it in there because you're going to get both sides of it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Versus having it out everywhere. I mean, anytime you cut it out like that, you're losing 90% of the buying public.
Right.
How do they justify that to a client? I don't get it.
Yeah.
And that's where this is going. And it's not good. It's not good.
Just made something that was somewhat simple a lot more complex.
Oh, they made it very, very, very complex. Very. And so.
Yeah. So just to kind of tie this all up. So when you think about your career in real estate and you are certainly mentoring and coaching, some of the advisors in the organization today, what's some of your best advice for them?
Kind of the stuff we talked about, kind of the story I just told you, on how to deal with the psychology of selling in real estate. It's totally different. You're not really selling a house. Basically, you're selling yourself and you're selling your knowledge. And the only way that it's going to work and have a good relationship is they need to trust you. But they need to be the ones that invite you in. You're inviting them, but they need to invite you into their life and what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And if you can master that, you will be extremely successful. And again, I told you, I love changing lives in this business. I mean, our agents make 3 times the money anybody else does. We're more expensive, but it's not about, it's not about what you're paying. It's about what's your 1099 look like at the end of every year, right?
Right.
So it's so fun to watch these people do it and literally change their lives. People that are making $300,000 a year that, never even thought that was possible. And they're doing it within a year or so. And it's fun. I really, really enjoy that. It's probably it's the best thing I enjoy about this job now. I just love it.
That's
just
fun.
love it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Licati, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the
really
pod
good to
today.
See you, Renee. Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Welcome back to the podcast. Well, again, my frequent guest, Mike Belzotti, the Director of Education for Russ, Lyon, Sotheby's International. This is our numbers guy, our trends guy. Thanks for being with me today.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? I have been learning so much from you. So I hope that the people who are following this podcast are getting these great pieces of information because there's good info here.
Thank you. I think so too.
Yeah, it's been very valuable. So I want to chat a little bit about Arizona prices. Way back when, I feel like Arizona was a really affordable place to live. And I don't know if we call it affordable anymore. Maybe it's somewhat affordable. But the prices sure look different today than they did when I moved here about 25 years ago. And I thought it'd be interesting today to just sort of go through that whole chart that kind of, it goes up and down, but it just kind of always goes up. And so you created this chart and we've got it for everybody to take a look at. But can we talk a little bit about the history of the prices here?
Yeah, there's different ways you can look at it. You can look at it in terms of year-over-year appreciation. But I think the graph you're referring to, which is an easier one to talk about, is looking at the change in the average price per square foot. Understanding that, of course, that's the average price and it's going to vary by market segment. I'm always quick to point that out just because it's always different depending on the market segment and location. But yeah, okay. So circling back to your starting point, I had the same feeling that you did, that things around 2001, 2002, 3, 4 were relatively affordable. Matter of fact, even though Maricopa County has been among the top growth, I think the top 5 growth counties in the country for 80 years, it still is relatively affordable when you compare our metro to other metros.
Yes.
Okay, so what changed is a little history lesson here.
Yeah.
Everybody's familiar with the crash around 2007-ish. And I say ish because there's just different dynamics around pegging when things really started to collapse and when it was evidenced in the statistics before people even knew it was happening. So,
And it kind of hit everybody at different times.
it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, we would see, when you look at charts now, you'll see sales going down and prices continuing up, which is a total disconnect, almost for 2 years. So it took that long for people to kind of wake up to the fact that this thing is going down. Well, backing up, what caused it, the crash, so to speak, one of the major elements from sort of the real estate industry's point of view is what we have called liar loans.
Right.
If you ever saw the movie The Big Short, where the Miami stripper was buying these waterfront condos and whatever, because you could, stated income, you could buy anything you wanted to.
Oh, it was a frenzy. I mean, anybody could get a mortgage. It didn't take much at all.
Yeah, and really kind of you have to put the government in the mix too, because the idea was that prices always, real estate over time always goes up, so we want to give everybody a chance to participate in the American dream.
Yeah.
This is okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't okay because
it was not.
No. And so that beating frenzy, again, there's sort of a geographic component. You found places like Arizona, California, Sun States, Nevada, where vacation properties and people want their second homes, place in the sun, all that. So it was especially intense.
Yeah.
And so not only did things accelerate dramatically, but they crashed rather dramatically.
Yeah.
To the point where, and I'll fudge the date probably a little bit, but around 2008, 9, 10, 11-ish, at some point in there, this is an interesting statistic, over half of Arizonans were underwater in terms of their equity position. They owed more in their house than it was worth.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
well, yeah.
That's staggering.
Yeah. I remember, weren't we considered ground zero for the mortgage crisis for a little while?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. Good way to think of it. So then what happened is, the investors who are smart enough to, buy low, sell high kind of thing, they, like piranhas smelling blood in the water, started coming out and picking up all these deals. And the way that showed up in the market from our point of view is that like over half the transactions were cash.
Mm-hmm.
And another element that was, not to belabor it, but we learned it was not a new term for us, but we had to get really good at a thing called short sales, where sellers wanted to sell their property even though they're underwater.
Right.
So we went through all of that. Painful, but we got through it. So as the investors started picking up all this inventory that had, maybe another element I should throw in there, is we went from, there's an average number of listings in the valley at any one given time. What is typical is around 25,000 listings, inventory. So it got down to around 8,000 at the peak of the frenzy. But then as it crashed and inventory accrued, it got as high as almost 60,000, I think 58,000.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, it's a massive increase, okay. And so that took time for that inventory to get absorbed by a lot of investor activity and other activity, of course. So that continued along, and you find some ebbs and flows. We talked about that before, ebb and flow. But basically, from about 2012, 2013 up to 2020, relatively stable. Mm-hmm. COVID happens, and in part response to that, another dynamic, and again, I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but what is critical to affordability is not just price. It's the cost of financing for the people that need financing.
Right.
And a good statistic to remember is that for every 1% interest rates go up on an 80% loan to value, like a typical 20% down.
Yeah.
So you got 80% loan. For every 1% interest rates go up, you lose 10% buying power. Okay, so what happened is the government printed money because nobody was buying mortgage-backed securities, so they needed to sort of make the market happen. And they did that by getting interest rates down to around 2.5%, 3%, which of course really kicked in demand in terms of affordability. And so what happened is after that relative stability, and then COVID hits, low interest rates, and coming out of the lockdown, you've got this massive demand. And the results were some 35% appreciation in broad numbers, compounded by around interest rates going from 3% to about 7%.
Right.
So do the math, 4%
40.
hike, 40%. So 40 plus 35, you got the house, same house in 2021, end of 2020, 3 years later is 75% more expensive, the average property.
Yep.
But anyway, to really stick with the theme here of that line, we saw average price per square foot go up dramatically, that 35%. And now what interest rates did is put a little jog in it, the higher rates, so it impacted demand somewhat. And another dynamic happened that is interesting, I think, to look in retrospect, which is that we still have it to some degree, which is that if I'm a seller today and I refinance during that 3% period of time, and now rates are 7%, and if I need financing, I may have a need to move, but if I can postpone it, because I don't want to lose that 3% interest rate.
Right.
So that next home is going to be much more expensive. So that has put sand in the gears, the last few years. But then bringing us to current, if you wanted to be the most succinct, kind of the elevator speech of defining the market for the last year, would be that we've seen appreciation. We've seen the increase in inventory disproportionate to demand. In other words, supply has been going up and demand has been okay. It's gone up a little, but not as much as supply has. And to kind of connect the dots with, we said that the average long-term inventory supply in the valley is about 25,000. Okay, so now it's at 22. So we're about at the average, at the typical inventory. Demand is okay, but it's not the feeding frenzy. So we're entering a time, and we've been in a time, very market specific, where you would call it relative balance. And if you want a definition of what a balanced market looks like, that would be where it would take 4 to 6 months on average for a property. There'd be that much inventory. There'd be a 4 to 6 month supply. To the extent you get below a 4-month supply, it's more of a seller's market.
Right.
To the extent you get over a 6-month supply, you're in buyer market territory. So whether it's a seller's market or a balanced market or a buyer's market, and all three exist today, all three are extant right now, depending on where you look and the price range.
Yep. So you were explaining that super high-end price range is right now in a seller's market. Okay, I'm paying attention.
Gold star.
Yeah. So, so you were, describing last time too that depending on where the price point is, that could actually have an impact on demand. But the question I always want to ask, and I want the answer to be yes every single day of every single year of every single decade, but is now. And sorry for prefacing it that way, but so does that make now a good time to buy if the market is stable, or is there something coming that we should wait for, or what would you say to that?
Well, okay, so I have to make a confession, and my confession is that I'm a realtor. I'm in the industry, I've done this for 45 years. My experience has been, and I say this, in truth, from the heart, that usually when people have a need to make a change in their address, it doesn't pay for them to try to play the market in terms of, buying at the right time. I mean, if you're an investor, that's different. If you're a fix and flip, that's different.
Right.
But usually, again, time is not on your side, whether it's interest rates changing or geopolitical situations you can't anticipate. So I would say, yeah, if the motivation is there, if the need is there, absolutely you can justify it. Are there sort of windows of opportunity? Always, sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you don't always know, you can't always see them coming. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
know when you're in one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to be kind of ready to act quickly.
Yeah, and then I guess we could, to really drill down on that, and this kind of connects the dots with this notion of, not everything sells, is that there are always cupcakes out there, those special properties where, there's just, there's been a lot of money put into them, maybe more money invested in the property than you can justify based on the cost. And so there's those kinds of opportunities, special locations. In real estate, we always say location, location, location.
Yeah.
So there are always those dynamics at play.
So I'm going to go down a little rabbit hole, and I've got a question about location, location, location. So I feel like there's been a lot of conversation lately. This is slightly off topic, but this does have to do with the value of a property, talking about road noise and where you locate a property. So you can be in a beautiful gated community with incredible views, but you might be on a road. So to what extent is that really having an impact on people's property values?
Great question. So it's a matter of degree, of course. If you're fronting on a busy street, that's an issue.
Yeah.
But if your backyard is facing a busy street, but you've got a big block wall that mitigates the sound and you're not seeing it so much. So there's variables there. But from a valuation point of view, which I think is at the heart of your question, broad brush, I'd say it's going to cost 10% value.
Yeah. Overall, it feels like, to the extent that I've been involved in real estate, just buying and selling my own home, through the many years, it feels like it's been just a nice little progression. Not everything has gone way, way up, but I feel like there haven't been those opportunities to just, lose it either on an investment.
Yeah, I think it's a good time when you look back at, the peak of the market before it crashed and how we thought things were hyperinflated. Well, we're way past the peak across the board. And to circle back to, I think, a question you had earlier in terms of relative affordability, when you compare the Phoenix metro with we're the 10th largest metro in the country, 5th largest city, but 10th largest metro, 4th largest county, Maricopa County. And where we sit in terms of affordability is kind of right in the middle. So kind of circling back to the beginning, we're not the most affordable place, but we're still not like buying in some of these other markets that are...
San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco.
Yeah. Some of the ones that are super, super expensive. Well, it feels like people come to Arizona for the ability to, perhaps, work from home, be an entrepreneur, raise their families. There's a lot of opportunities here. If you could go anywhere, why wouldn't you come here? So that's always been my thought.
Said by a couple of converted zonies.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened to both of us. Why wouldn't you come here? I don't need to work from home in the snow.
Vacation every day, baby.
Yep. No, it's a good place. And I think people have really caught on to that. And so we live in a wonderful place. And it's
quite agree.
Catching on across the country. And I'm glad that at this point, people actually know where Arizona is at this point. 30 years ago, that was a big question mark.
Fun to represent. Yeah. Living the dream.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for your perspective on this. Always good to know, and we're going to keep watching these home values. And for those who are out there buying and selling, make sure you're working with a trusted advisor that can give you some good info.
Thank you, Renee.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm super excited to be here with Oriana Lehman, who is a global real estate advisor for Russ, Lyon, Sotheby's International Realty. And we got to meet recently with your new project you're working on. So thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to that project in a second, but I want to ask you, so how did you get into real estate 17 years ago?
Well, I think it was really culmination of I had a business career with different projects from the Make-A-Wish Foundation and airlines. I was a district manager for U.S. Airways out here and worked for the British Airways Corporation in Florida. And so I had a lot of extensive sales and negotiating experience. And I was looking for a little bit more flexibility. And we had some real estate that our family was managing. And my mom said, why don't you go get your real estate license? And then you can do this more effectively. And I said, yeah, okay, I could do that while I'm still in my career. And I was expecting my third child. And so really what it came from was we've always been an investor family. And so looking for investments, and I wanted to have more efficiency in that.
That's great.
It was born from there.
Everybody, and so obviously at some point you started working for people outside of your family.
Yes.
How did that happen? Did a friend ask you to help them out with their real estate transaction?
Well, I think once people realize you've evolved out of a more traditional corporate career, and even from our nonprofit career, people are, what are you doing now? And so when you start in real estate, you really don't have much to talk about because you've just started.
Yeah.
And so rather than talking about myself and the business I was working on for myself, I would always talk about my biggest client, who at the time was my mom. And I would refer to her as she's a very difficult client. I really enjoy working with her, but she has very specific needs. And it was all true. Everything I was saying was realistic and true, but I would refer, to that person as like an outside party, and people would be like, oh, I'm interested in something like that. And so that's how the evolution starts.
That's awesome. Well, you've really grown in your career. I mean, you
Yes.
obviously got off to a great start. So you and I met recently at one of your new projects. So you're
Yes.
selling the Goldwater residences. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that.
So I've been honored to be asked as the designated broker for the Goldwater Residences. It's going to be an iconic
Yes.
urban residences down in Old Town Scottsdale. We're actually on the Arts District side. So we like to say we're in the middle of the arts, action, and entertainment side of Scottsdale. And the 40 residences are luxurious spaces, but in an urban environment. And it's really special because they're going to have a lot of European essence and flavor to them. The developer is from Malaga, Spain. And we really have a great team cohesively working together to make this project get off the ground. And it's just going to be special.
It's exciting. Well, I had a chance to get to see the renderings and see the models. It
Yeah.
looks great. And it's right in the heart of Old Town Scottsdale. So it's going to be walking distance from all the fun stuff down there.
Yeah, it's in the museum district. So we're really right where the bend of Goldwater is. And it's one of the reasons it's chosen its name for the Goldwater Residences. And there's going to be commercial. It's a multi-mixed use complex. So ground level is going to have 4 commercial spaces, which we hope will be bringing some amenities to the residences. And then there's 2, 3, 4, 5 at penthouse level residential dwellings that are 2 and 3 bedrooms. It's going to be fantastic.
Super luxe.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for you. So have you sold multifamily before? I mean, have you had a project like this before?
I have not had this type of project before. I've worked in multifamily, I've purchased multifamily, and I've worked in, these types of structures, but this is the first one I get to hold at the helm.
It's beautiful. So the architecture is really lovely for the downtown area, and I know that it's really close to the Western Spirit Museum. So
Yes.
you had your opening there, which is really great. How did the developer pick this as a location when they are based out of Spain?
I think they were looking for something in the United States, and we're looking for a really nice growth market that would be a stable market. And Scottsdale was a natural opportunity. They actually have current projects going. They've done over 100 projects, and they have never not completed a project. So any project they have started, they have completed. Their track record is immaculate. And as I was mentioning, they have 2 current projects in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico. And so this was probably a proximity decision for them. And rather than being maybe in California, Arizona was just a natural fit. We're a growing market. We have such great industry and growth. This is a very needed property. We don't have a lot of multifamily condo projects at all in actually anywhere, but really, South Florida is probably the biggest market for that. But in Arizona and in Scottsdale in particular, and in South Scottsdale, this is the only project that will be for sale condos, for sale residences. Most of developers are building for lease only now. And so this is really something that the market is starved for.
Absolutely. Well, and there's so many people that are moving here. And
Yes.
everybody wants a different lifestyle. I mean, different kinds of things. Some people want a house. Some people want more of a lock and leave situation.
Yes.
So
And we are finding that type of buyer. We're finding our buyers, we have over 25% reserved. We haven't even put it into the marketplace yet. But what we have noticed is this is very attractive from people from Park City and Aspen and Colorado or back east, that they're used to this multifamily, like kind of urban lifestyle where they want to be in town. They want to walk to what they consider their amenities. The town is literally your amenity.
Yeah. There's a lot going on for sure.
Yeah.
So what is the time frame on this project?
Well, we're hoping that we'll break ground in the third or fourth quarter of this year, maybe even sooner. We have to secure all of our properties with buyers, which we have a large buyer right now who's looking at it as an investment opportunity. And if that does come through, then we'd actually break ground sooner. But the total project will be complete once ground is broken within 18 to 24 months. So that's our projection.
Very fun. Exciting times. So
very
what
good.
do you love most about what you do?
I think it's the opportunity to solve